Hello my fellow flowers and welcome to another DIY. Today I will be custom painting some Nerf guns. Today I will be painting the strong arm. I already took it apart so that it'll be much easier to paint, as well as not allowing paint to get on the inside. So, this button goes here. So if you got paint in between it, then it would be very unfortunate and sticky and annoying and everything like that. And then also here, painting this part is a lot more difficult, if you have it on. So I'll be painting this one, and then obviously the insides is all emptied out. I put them all in this bag to keep everything contained. And then as long as you're taking it apart to paint it, you might as well make it able to backload the barrel. So you just take these pegs out and then sand it down so it's a nice, you're able to put the darts, so that you can put them in. Yeah. So these are all the parts that I will be painting, and I won't even, obviously be painting all of these. So like the button here will just be the surface, and then the trigger here will just be the trigger part, not the back part that's inside the gun. The biggest thing to remember is when you're painting, you don't want to actually be interfering with the functionality of the gun. So it's just this outside barrel part that I have, and not this part that's actually inside holding the specific darts. I used Rust-Oleum when painting the Nerf guns. And for this one, it didn't have the thing that said that it bonds to plastic, so I made sure to spray paint anything that I wanted this color with like a different color first, just to prime it so that it would stick. Because spray paint should stick to spray paint, even if spray paint doesn't stick to plastic, I painted a number of different blasters, so this one is actually not a Nerf blaster, it's an Adventure Force. It is the Aeon Pro. And this one comes apart in a lot of pieces, so it's actually a lot nicer to paint than a Nerf blaster, because you can take it apart into more pieces and paint all of those pieces individually rather than trying to have different colors on the one Nerf blaster. So on here, this top part came off, this part came off, and then we had the main body of the gun. These little bits right here, those were a separate piece, and then the handle was different, and the trigger was different. So I tried not to have too many parts that I painted that were like in the inner areas. So I think it is a little bit stickier on this part to pull back, but not bad at all. And then I made sure when painting the trigger that I only painted the trigger and not like much of the plastic part that goes on the inside. The safety I didn't paint because it's such a small surface area on either side. And then this little trigger I didn't paint again because it was like a really small part with a decent amount of like the plastic on the inside to the plastic on the outside. There wasn't a very good ratio there, and I didn't want to mess with any of the inner workings. So I took it apart, painted it, and put it back together. What I learned was that it's a lot easier to what I call free paint. So to just take your spray paint and paint it on, and you can like angle and you can aim and you can paint, but not taping is mostly what I'm getting to. So for here, I had taped this side and this side of this before I kind of realized that free painting was difficult. This is actually the first blaster that I painted. So you can tell that there's definitely a difference between this one and this one, or this one and this one, but this one's a little bit of a different breed because, like I said, it comes apart in more pieces, so it's honestly a lot easier to paint. So for this one, I didn't think to paint the trigger, and I didn't take the barrel apart before painting it, so it actually ended up with some paint here and stuff, and it became a little bit more sticky. I also didn't take this button out before painting it, so it got pretty sticky on the edges and stuff. So if you take the button out, you're able to like sand off the paint or use like acetone or something to take off the paint before putting it back in. um, this pullback trigger I didn't originally paint, and then I like went back and did, but then had the trigger on like too close to when I put the paint on, and there was a lot of things there. So there's a lot of problems and a lot of things that we can learn from with this blaster. Just learning that putting tape on a blaster was, one, really difficult, and two, you still get these like little lines where like you can tell that it was tape, like especially this where it like leaks through, and I tried like really hard. I really tried to adhere that tape and like get a nice clean edge, and it just like was not working for me. So I just decided that, you know, masking off an area wasn't where I was going. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. Oh, I never put this little piece back in that one. I am not sure where that is. So with this one, I painted it a lot later than I painted that one. Actually, I made a kind of dumb mod to this one. So usually I have to help it out when pressing the button. Not because it's sticky, but because I had dremeled off this part here so that when backloading there was more area to be able to backload, and just that ended up not having this like guiding feature and stuff, so it's a lot harder to use. And I should probably like figure out if I can just order that piece. What I found that worked best was to paint everything with like a thin layer of paint. Honestly, if you painted like multiple guns at once, it would kind of add to like, you can paint all these pieces, and then by the time you paint the last piece, maybe you can go back to the first one. But in general, if I did something else while I painted, and I would just check on them like outside and be like, okay, they're ready for a new paint, or like, no, they're not, I'll check back later, so that you're not just like sitting around like, is that paint dry yet? Like, it's a little sticky, but I think I can go in with another coat. It's best if you like let it dry. I don't know really how long, I don't time it, but about 10 minutes between each coat would at least be what I would go with. And then obviously not putting the coats on too much. And if you can, let it sit for... On all of the guns, I gave a light coating, or on some of them, they got a little bit heavier of a coating of the clear coat. It depends on if I forgot that I already gave them a light coating of the clear coat or not before giving it another coat of the clear coat. It's not going to hurt anything, it's just helping to seal things in. It gives them a bit of gloss, which is nice because for the light green we have gloss, and then I got matte of these other two. So having the differences in gloss and non-gloss and stuff, this helps even it all out. Not like the most in the end, because you do have some differences in like glossy to non-glossy in some of these colors, but this does help even out the differences, and it just helps seal everything in and help the gun not just like chip all of the paint away.
And here are all of the pieces for the Aeon Pro Adventure Force Blaster. I really like these ones, the way that the gray was able to shine through a little bit. I specifically didn't go over it enough times to actually cover it, so that you know, it gives it more of that aged look. And then again, I did the free painting, so it kind of blends a bit more, and again looks a little bit more aged on both of those. And then here we have a bit of the free painting with the copper, and we have the light green up here, and the base is mostly dark green. The handles, the other body, and here a very cute green trigger. And here we have the Aeon Pro. Obviously I didn't paint this part, and then this part to help indicate that it's a toy gun and not a real one. But like the other one, I could have painted this and even the edges of the safety button, because it's like that on the other side as well, where it's just a splotch of the bright orange that you typically see with these guns. But that's it all put together.
I hope this video was helpful. I learned a lot while painting these guns. I hope that by sharing a lot of this information and a lot of my tips and tricks, that you have a lot more successful of a time painting your Nerf blasters.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, and remember to like this video if you enjoyed it. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.